Hello and welcome to this edition of Northwest Newsweek. I'm Brittany Ramsey. A Kenora resident is facing murder charges following an investigation into the death of a woman in that community last week. Kenora OPP were called to the Mikado Avenue residence on July 30th, where 62-year-old Christine Wright was located deceased. The investigation led to the arrest of 35-year-old Paul LaRue on Thursday on a charge of second-degree murder. OPP Constable Andrea DeGagne says at this time there is no further threat to the community, and she details why it took nearly a week to make the arrest.
Complex situation, and it's why it's taken this long to apprehend somebody and hold them responsible. These are long investigations, and there's always more information out there coming in. If anybody does have information related to the occurrence, they're still investigating. It's an open investigation, so we're hoping that they can come to the police with anything they have. You can report online, OntarioCrimeStoppers.ca, or just by contacting the police at 1-888-310-1122.
LaRue remains in custody after his bail hearing on Friday. Meanwhile, an Atikokan resident is dead following a single vehicle collision on Highway 622 Wednesday night. Police, fire, and ambulance crews were called to the scene 3 kilometers north of Atikokan shortly before 7:30. The lone occupant of the vehicle, 72-year-old Larry Gashinsky, was pronounced dead soon after. The highway was closed for 6 hours for the investigation. A postmortem was carried out on Thursday. The leadership of the Wabsamung First Nation has agreed to carry out a full evacuation as forest fires rage on around the community near Kenora. Chief Waylon Scott has posted a video on Facebook showing the firefighters moving around his community, and he says after consulting with elders, they've decided now is the time for everyone to vacate the First Nation and allow the MNRF and the other firefighters to freely do their job to protect the community. Chief Scott also posted a heartfelt message sharing his struggle with approving the evacuation order and asking forgiveness for the tough decision. According to the province, over 200 vulnerable people have already been evacuated, and now the rest of the members will be headed to other parts of the province and Manitoba. Until the area is safe to return, the province will continue to work with the affected First Nations, municipalities, and the federal government. Well, as wildfires continue to rage across the region, the Independent First Nations Alliance is calling on senior levels of government to invest in a dedicated evacuation center here in the Northwest. IFNA is made up of 5 northern communities, including Pikangikum, which currently has more than 1,200 evacuees across the province. Ryan Benazzo has that story.
Premier Doug Ford says even if municipalities here in the Northwest don't have the capacity to house more than 3,000 evacuees from fire-threatened First Nations, other parts of the province do.
We have lots of spaces in Toronto and the GTA. They're willing to come down to GTA in Toronto. We'll be there. We'll welcome them with open arms.
But Independent First Nations Alliance CEO Matthew Hopp says that shouldn't be the solution.
It's like putting people in Thunder Bay in France.
Pikangikum First Nation, one of 5 northern communities that make up IFNA, has evacuated more than 1,200 people so far. Many are now stationed 1,000 kilometers away in Sudbury and Timmins. But Hopp hopes that won't be necessary in the future. He wants Ottawa and the province to invest in a dedicated First Nations evacuation center here in the Northwest.
First Nations can take care of themselves and support each other. The reality is you can only do what you got in terms of you're only as good as a resource provider, right? So if you're going to be doing emergency deployments, last minute stuff, we can do a heck of a lot better job, cheaper, better, with minimal impact to the municipal host communities, do a self-contained kind of program. So then, we don't have that kind of question from taxpayers about, hey, is that additional strain on resources, health, police, social, whatever the case may be. I think with a little bit of planning, a little bit of smart investment, there is an opportunity to make this really work for all partners involved.
When asked about the idea, Ontario's Indigenous Affairs Minister Greg Rickford noted it may have some merit, and he's willing to sit down with IFNA and other Indigenous leaders at some point to discuss it. Ryan Benazzo, TBT News.
A big boost this week for the Anishinaabe Nation in its efforts to transform healthcare services for its 49 member communities. The federal government has announced nearly $18 million over the next 2 years to assist with the process as part of a tripartite agreement with the province and NAN. It will include development of a new health commission that will ensure close-to-home access to culturally safe health programs, services, and supports. Parliamentary Secretary Pam Damoff says the pandemic has proven that NAN can take the lead in healthcare.
You've worked nonstop to protect your communities in addition to advocating for better services and building strong nation-to-nation partnerships. Today, the Government of Canada is committing $17.8 million in additional funding to Anishinaabe Nation for health transformation in your communities. This funding will help NAN achieve greater self-determination to transform the design and delivery of health services in all 49 communities.
Anishinaabe Nation Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler says in order to exercise self-determination over health, they need to bring back accountability and responsibility to First Nations and change the colonial system to a new system based on the needs and priorities of our communities. He adds that he appreciates that their federal treaty partner is committed to the concept of helping each other and will work with them to design an effective health system that meets the needs of the NAN membership. A pair of local Indigenous schools are getting millions in federal and provincial funding for some much-needed improvements. Dennis Franklin Cromartie High School and the Matawa Education and Care Center will see some major renovations as part of $37 million funding package earmarked mainly for Northern Ontario. Ryan Benazzo has more.
Some major upgrades are coming to Dennis Franklin Cromartie High School to allow students to safely return to the classroom. The federal and provincial governments will fund $9.6 million worth of renovations through the Investing in Canada infrastructure program, which is meant to address COVID-19 challenges. Local MP and Health Minister Patty Hajdu made the announcement on Tuesday morning.
Things like plumbing and electrical system updates, repairs to the roof, interior repairs to drywall and classrooms and lighting. I've had an opportunity to tour Dennis Franklin Cromartie in my own region, and it's an amazing school with so much to offer students. And so preserving that school's infrastructure is really important for the generations of learners that will come through it.
The Matawa Education and Care Center on Lily Street is also getting $3.8 million for a new gymnasium. The gym was supposed to be built as part of a $24 million government funding package that Matawa got in 2018. But the pandemic has led to a dramatic increase in construction costs.
As the project wore on, we kind of ran out of funding, or we're short. So this ISIP program approached us, and we worked with both levels of government on achieving this.
There's construction going on all around the facility, but work hasn't yet begun on the gym itself, which will be located here behind me. Nate says it will be a full-size gymnasium. Without this money from Ottawa and the province, it either would have been much smaller or not included at all.
It'll improve the mental health of the kids and also their confidence, their level of confidence and their ability to acquire more skills, within the, with having a gymnasium. There'll be a fitness center involved in there, and where they can work out and practice their skills like boxing, karate.
The Education Center is prepared to welcome up to 200 students for in-person learning by the second semester of the upcoming academic year. Other facilities receiving funding include the Kanachahi Treatment Center in Sioux Lookout Student and Family Housing, and Pelican Falls High School. Ryan Benazzo, TBT News.
The mayors of Fort Frances and International Falls are expressing concern over the future of the bridge that links the two border communities. Bridge ownership is in question, and so is the money collected by bridge tolls. Adam Riley has details.
The bridge has been privately owned for many years, but with recent talk of the owner of the Canadian side, Resolute Forest Products, looking to divest itself from the bridge, and the discovery that the American side has already been sold to another company, has Mayors June Call and Harley Droba pensive over what could happen.
Now that possibly one basic company may be able to purchase both sides, we want to just ensure that that bridge is kept well maintained and kept open.
The bridge is one of 3 crossings in the Northwest, which includes a brand new span which opened in Rainy River late last year, and the only one that has a toll. Droba notes the toll is only collected when traveling from America into Canada, and the earnings of which are supposed to be allocated for repairs. But neither he nor Call have a clue as to where that money will end up once the sales are completed.
If that bridge is sold, is there a agreement in there that they're going to do some upkeep to the bridge, or all of the monies that has been paid over the years, has that just went to the person who sold to the company that sold the bridge?
In 2006, a public meeting revealed that one span at most had 20 years left in its lifespan before an $8 million replacement was required. Discussions have also arisen over moving the bridge to a new location. However, Call says that would likely require input from all levels of government. Adam Riley, TBT News.
When we come back, wildfires rage near Red Lake, but the community continues to build up its infrastructure. Despite a looming evacuation and air quality issues due to raging wildfires, the municipality of Red Lake continues to work on various infrastructure projects. The community is also pursuing funding to upgrade or replace one of its decades-old assets. Adam Riley has details.
Mayor Fred Mota says as he and other officials monitor the fires west of Red Lake, the municipality is still working on capital projects. Right now, the focus is on using almost $5 million in funding through the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund towards updating various assets in the community. But as Mota explains, there is a catch, which is why the work is centered around the town of Red Lake and not spread throughout the entire municipality.
Part of the parameters of the program was all the roads had to be interconnecting. So we couldn't use, say, $1 million out of the Red Lake project and put it into Balmertown, Kosher, Madsen. They all had to be touching.
Dollars have been allocated to upgrading the town's baseball field, installing new sidewalks and replacing old ones, putting new pavement down on roadways, and installing new storm sewers. Mota says in addition to updating assets, this will improve the quality of life in Red Lake.
And really enhance the older part of the Red Lake area, because we've had people live here for years and years and years and have never had improvements like that.
But the municipality isn't stopping there, as it is currently working on funding applications to give a proper update to the Kosher Arena, which serves as the home for the SIJHL's Red Lake Miners. Mota says the arena is nearing 70 years in age and was built by non-conventional means.
It was actually built by miners back in the day. There was no taxpayer dollars. There was no funding from the province back at that time. It was, you worked your shift and you were expected to put 4 to 6 to 8 hours in to work on the arena. So it was a community project But at this point, our infrastructure needs have changed and it needs a well-enhanced makeover.
Mota says while he is okay if Red Lake can just update the current arena, he is hopeful the funding application for a new Regional Events, Arts and Culture Hub, or REACH facility, is approved, as engineering documents have already been drawn up and land has been set aside for a new build. Or as Mota puts it,
we're shovel ready, we just need the money.
Adam Riley, TBT News.
Local border services officers staged a picket outside MP Patty Haidu's office Thursday as they continue to negotiate a new contract with the federal government. Union members will begin job action right across the country as a deal was not reached by Friday morning's deadline. As Avery McRae explains, the timing couldn't be worse with the border set to reopen to U.S. visitors on Monday.
What do we want? Contract! When do we want it? Now! How long? Too long! How long? Too long!
It has been since 2018, to be exact, that Canada Border Services officers have been without a contract. And if a deal is not struck soon, nearly 9,000 Canadian Border Services Agency workers will begin a job action across the country. Thursday, local border services officers with the Public Services Alliance of Canada and its Customs and Immigration Union showed their displeasure outside MP Patty Haidu's office. The Canadian border is set to reopen to U.S. travelers on August 9th, and local MPP Judith Monteith-Farrell, who was once a union rep for border services officers, says the decision to open it up before having a deal with its workers is a little backwards.
That's the irony. You would think that they would want to first reward the people that were at that border, you know, keeping us safe and having to do a very hard job turning people away. There was a lot of stories there as well, right?
We take our job very seriously. We want to serve the public in a way that we can to our fullest ability, and our fullest ability is with the support of our employer behind us and recognizing us for the work that we do.
If a deal is not reached by 6 a.m. Friday morning, those traveling at the border can expect things to take a little bit longer than what they're used to.
Facilitative type documents for immigration won't be done. The collection of certain, I guess, fees and things like that will be reduced.
The border services are under an essential services order, but there are very few things that are essential to monitor. It could mean a lot of things, but that's their strategy, not mine.
Contract talks continued Thursday with a mediator present as the two sides remained far apart on a number of issues, including wages and harassment-related issues. Eddie noted she is not confident a deal will be reached by Friday morning, but remains optimistic a deal will be struck before the border opens on Monday. In the event a deal isn't reached, border travelers can expect picketers on scene and long lineups and lengthy delays at border crossings, airports, and headquarters locations. Avery McRae, TBT News.
Meanwhile, Monteith-Farrell is defending her party's leader after Andrea Horwath found herself in some controversy regarding her stance on mandatory COVID vaccinations.
I didn't expect this from Andrea Horwath, and it's a real shame. But again, as I said a second ago, it's never the wrong time to do the right thing.
That was Ontario Liberal leader Stephen Del Duca opposing comments made by Horwath during an interview she did on Wednesday. The NDP leader stated that the ability to refuse a vaccine is a charter right. Horwath backtracked on the comments Thursday and now supports mandatory vaccines for frontline and health and education workers. Monteith-Farrell says this reversal by her party has a lot to do with listening to the voices of constituents.
What that is listening to people and really understanding that there is a lot of sides to this issue, because I can tell you in my office I get as many calls of people who don't want vaccinations or don't want mandatory vaccinations as I do with people outraged that they aren't mandatory.
Monteith-Farrell says this situation, like many things in the pandemic, will continue to evolve. It's been more than 2 years since the federal government settled a class action lawsuit with survivors of Indian day schools, but many are still struggling through the claims process. Fortunately, free one-on-one help was made available here in Thunder Bay. Officials with the Federal Indian Day Schools Community Support Program were set up at the Victoria Inn until Saturday, helping survivors submit their claim. Anyone who suffered abuse at one of Canada's 699 Indian day schools is eligible for up to $200,000. Urban Community Strategy Lead Crystal Summers says the paperwork can be overwhelming for people to navigate on their own, especially since they have to recount their abuse.
Sometimes it's the first time that they have shared it with anyone, or even just thought about, those memories in many, many years. So it can be a really challenging process. It can also be an important step in someone's healing journey, like to do this as well. And so it's really important for us in acknowledging that it can be really challenging and bring up a lot of those traumatic memories, that we have healing supports available on site.
Those supports include Indigenous elders and mental health workers. The service will be moving to Kenora on Monday. Anyone planning to attend is encouraged to pre-register at indiandayschools.com, but walk-ins are welcome. And coming up after the break, engines roar and tires squeal once again in Terrace Bay. A little rain didn't stop the racing in Terrace Bay last weekend. Racers from across Northern Ontario took to the former airport runway to test their skills during a test and tune event in place of the 2021 Drag Fest. Adam Riley has more.
I like speed. Once you've tried this, there's no other feeling like it.
Tony DeFelice has been racing the strip in Terrace Bay since the inception of Dragfest over 2 decades ago, and became so involved that his own daughter has also raced his 71 Mercury Comet down the track. For DeFelice, coming out to the races and catching up with the other racers is more of a family reunion than a get-together with friends.
Everybody that comes here, a lot of us know each other. We've been racing together for 20, 30 years. If someone needs help, everybody is willing to help, no matter how. We'll do anything for any racer out here. Every racer does the same thing.
Like 2020, this year's Dragfest was a spectatorless test and tune, which comes as a result of COVID-19 limitations. But nonetheless, more than 100 cars were entered into the weekend's festivities, which brought a smile to Assistant Race Director Mark Wejack's face, who notes with a larger roster, there is a larger payout for racers in the Gamblers Run.
It's nice to see so many people come out and considering what's going on, and yeah, it is exciting for everybody, the drivers, and us, the club, the car club. It's a lot of work, and we appreciate everyone coming out, and the more the better.
DeFelice shares Wejack's more the better sentiment and believes race officials have the right idea and plan for the track's future.
The track officials are doing an awesome job here. They're expanding on the track preparation machinery and so on and so forth. It's come a long, long ways. This will be an awesome track, I would say, within 5 years.
Organizers are hopeful that if COVID comes under control fully by the end of this year, that Dragfest 2022 will draw an even larger crowd in both spectators and drivers. Adam Riley, TBT News.
A new face will represent the Kenora riding for the federal Liberals as more nominees are being named as candidates in anticipation of a fall election. Cybersecurity expert and consultant David Bruno has been acclaimed by the party. He takes over from former candidate and MP Bob Nault, who lost to Conservative Eric Malello in 2019. Bruno is no stranger to the Liberals as he attempted to be the party's nominee in 2019 in the Thunder Bay Rainy River riding, but lost to current MP Marcus Pulowski. Earlier this year, Bruno and his partner relocated to Kenora. He's new to the riding, but he knows there are many issues that affect the entire Northwest, and he hopes to address them if he's elected.
I have a few things that I'd like to bring to the table. I've already spoken to our Attorney General, David Lametti, on a few Indigenous items that we want to put forward better as a government. I know that he just came out with an excellent announcement for a new legal system, and I'm in full support of that. And it's going to happen. It's in our hands now, and we have the ability to change it, and we're going to change it, and it's going to be better.
Bruno will be taking on incumbent Eric Malello as neither the Green Party or NDP have announced their candidates. And that's all for this edition of Northwest Newsweek. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.